three polls are out today from reputable, some people might pronounce it reputable organizations, looking at the president's standing. I'll say overall, his job approval on a lot of issues is piss poor, including on issues where he's historically done quite well. That having been said, one of my favorite journalistic phrases, his overall rating in two of the three polls is just fine. So here's the Wall Street Journal headline on their poll. Resilient Trump lifted by improved view of the economy. Journal poll finds the president's job rating holds steady despite dim views of his tax and spending law, tariff policies, and the government's handling of Jeffrey Epstein. In the Journal poll, the president's job approval is 46%, which, as Bill McIntyre, friend of Two-Way, points out, is the new 56. In other words, in the polarized negative environment in which presidents operate now, a 46% job approval rating ain't bad. And as the journal write-up says, the one thing that probably is sustaining the president's job approval above his approval on individual issues is the people's view on the economy is more upbeat than it's been. Gallup also polled yesterday, 104. There's the economic number from the journal. Gallup, you see there, his job approval amongst Republicans is still sky high because he's not yet shot anybody on Fifth Avenue. Amongst independents, it's 29. Amongst Democrats, 2%. Kind of incredible, 2%. But the overall is 37. 37 and 46, as Billy Crystal character said on Saturday Night Live. Big difference with that. So if his job approval is really 37, that's horrendous. If it's 46, again, he's never gone much higher than that. So who's going to break the tie? Well, it's Emerson. 105. The Emerson poll has it at 46 also. So, Dan, does it matter if it's 46 or 37? And should we assume it's closer to 46 because two of the three polls say that? Or that's not how polling works?
No, I think, look, you try to take averages, and I think it was a divided country. It is a divided country. And at least in the foreseeable future, I think we're going to remain a divided country, which is to say, he is going to trade in a narrow band. He's not going to get too high. He's not going to get too low. As you look at the midterms, yes, he personally is remaining relatively popular. The issues that he's passed or enacted or fought for right now are largely not popular. And it's going to come down to whose base is more motivated. Today, our base, at least in polls, is more motivated to turn out than Republicans. So can they change that? And independents, right? It's not either or, Mark, as you like to say, it's both. And right now, independents don't love him and they don't love his agenda. So, we'll see. He's focused on it.
Sean, Dan talked about the narrow band. I mean, 37 is about as low as the president gets, and 46 is about as high. So that's the whole band right there. If you were briefing the president today and he said, hey, Sean, I heard there's three new polls out. What do they show? What would you say?
Well, one, your strength among Republicans continues to be rock solid. There's a little erosion on the independents, but generally you continue to get high marks all around. To Dan's point, look, you get 2% from Democrats. That might even be high. But it doesn't track. I mean, look, I'm not one of these people, but one, I think there's an outlier, clearly, that's obvious. And it doesn't surprise me. But if you do look overall, not just at those three, but the past couple weeks, that's generally where he is in that mid to upper 47. But it's also the context that you're for him, with everything that's going on, I'd be excited about it. I think his strength among the base, which is what he really cares about, is massive. There's zero erosion there. Most of the folks that voted for him are still with him. There's not seeing any of this erosion. But I will just say this anecdotally, and I'm not a big fan of this. I mean, it's like, telling someone in a campaign about yard signs. It drives me nuts. But I will say that having lived, the lived experience of this after term one at the end of a year and where we are now is vastly different. At the end of the midpoint of the first year to the end, it was uncomfortable. I still get stopped by, people all like on a daily basis, love Trump. If you're still talking to Trump, tell him he's doing a great job. That's so the support among average everyday Americans is vastly better than where it was in his first term. And there's general agreement. I don't think you're ever going to win over the Democrats, though. That being said, I think he's in a very good position. And I actually think, frankly, considering what we've talked about, the stories that have dominated versus the accomplishment and results that he has gotten, hopefully at some point we'll start to push through. And so I actually think it'll climb.
Want more great clips like that? I've got an idea. Hit the subscribe button, be part of the Two-Way community, never miss a clip, and you can always watch our full episodes, join them live, go to twoway.tv.